So at this point, we moved the FC out of the garage and actually the bed. So that's all moved out. And yesterday we moved in the CJ2A. So the reason we kind of jumped forward to get this into the garage, my son Tyler is interested in doing the lead work on this. So he wanted to bring it in and start dismantling the fenders and start working on the outer skin bodywork. So we have it in here now. And what's nice is this is a running machine. It looks really rough, but the bones are halfway decent in it. So periodically I'm gonna kind of visit this project and see how Tyler's doing on it. He don't really want to be videoed with this, so it might be limited exposure how much I'm gonna actually film this, unless I'm working on it. I'm gonna kind of work with him on it, on some of the areas, but I'll give you a quick walk around on what it looks like at this point. On this back corner, this is basically all rotted out. They did a riveted piece of sheet metal on there, galvanized sheet metal. The inner rail well is actually all rotted out. A lot of this floor pan is definitely rotted out. A lot of people would say, why don't you just get a new tub for it? But this project's definitely going to be on a budget. We're not exactly sure how far we want to take this, so we're going to try to do it as cheaply as we can. Like I said, Tyler wants to take the lead on it. This might eventually be his vehicle, so we're going to kind of just take it as cheap as we can at first until we get to the point where we have to make the call to, buy brakes. I'm becoming more familiar with what things cost, so I know basically doing the brakes and repairing a lot of the major components. I wouldn't say those are major components, but the parts that cost a good amount of money at this point is going to run about $1,000. We paid $500 for this. So at this point, we just want to see how we can get it to a certain point, or what point we feel comfortable with it. Tracy's already done the seats for it. We have to get, tires, basically that runs up to about $1,000 to $1,200. That's what I'm finding with the FC. That's what I have basically invested into that, on top of the $1,800 that I paid for it. So Tyler already took the front fender off. That's pretty rotted. But there again, it's all flat sheet metal, so it's good for them to experience how to make patch panels and weld those in. What's good about this project is, and what is very important to me, is I like the motor to be running a good transmission, and secondary to me is the body's good. So the body to me is very easy, it's just time consuming. The motor to me, eventually I want to get into the point where I can dismantle a motor and put it back together. But what's really important to me is to have the vehicle so it can move in and out of the garage pretty freely. Eventually, maybe I might get to the point that I take a motor apart. I have a future project that I'm thinking of doing with some parts that I got from the MG. I basically got a whole car minus the body, but the motor needs work and transmission needs work. So that in a future video might be, a future time might be an option that I go with. But for now, what's important to me is that the motor is in good shape. It runs perfect. The transmission's in really good shape. The transfer case is in good shape. Everything works, which is totally surprising to me. But what happens with a lot of these vehicles like this and the FC, they get surprisingly low amount of miles because they either used as plow vehicles or farm vehicles. So it isn't like you're traveling long distances. You might travel in a year, you might travel like 10 miles. Do you know what I mean? So it's really surprising how low wear is on the motor and transmission, as long as you can keep the water out of them, which I'm really surprised this kept the water out of it, because it was in the woods. I don't think it was covered. So that's pretty important. That's a good factor for me for getting these vehicles. A lot of people look at these and go, oh my God, this body is horrible. But to me, it's just breaking it down. You just take an area, you fix it, you work to the next area, fix it. A frame, you know, all it is metal, you know, so all you have to do is weld it, put it back together. A lot of the videos I watch, people are doing these extreme bodywork cases. 90% of people will look at it and even comment that they would never do it. But, you know, someone that can break it down and just really see what the issue is, it's not really a problem. They just go to it and make it happen. But this will be a fun vehicle. What's good about it, it isn't like restoring an old valuable Porsche or, you know, Ferrari. It's just a basic tractor, you know, for the most part. And so you really can't screw up anything. You just give it a shot and see what you can do. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna jump back to the FC, which is outside now. Like I mentioned in another video, I have it outside because I like to do the body work outside and have it so it's ventilated in an area where the dust isn't going to accumulate inside the shop. What's kind of cool about this is a lot of the tags and the gauges on this are still intact, no broken glass. That little light that's above the speedometer still works. As bad as this looks, it has a lot of the components still in it. It even has the ID tag in the front here, which made it so I could get a title. So that was kind of cool. This front light, which Tracy loves this front light. Actually, we both do. It's like made out of this molded glass. We're gonna try to save these. Tyler's already got the headlights out, which we have those. They're fully intact, not even broken glass on it. This Jeep was actually out in the woods for 35 years. The motor was locked up, but we soaked it down with penetrating oil, got the plugs out, which I'm really surprised. We got those out. We loosened up the pistons, got it to turn over. I rebuilt the carburetor and it fired off. It actually runs surprisingly well. There's some issues with the back frame on it. The frame looks pretty good at this point here. It looks similar to the FC, but right in this area, it's totally rotted out. So that's gonna be a repair there. Like I said, this is gonna be a good project to hone our skills on welding. It's not going to be a daily driver by any means. It's probably going to be either a show car or something that we take out in the woods and just have fun with. But for Tyler, he's going to school, or actually he went to school for aviation mechanics, and this is going to be a good experience for him. Everything's going to seem easy after doing this. Because everything's so rusted and so dilapidated that it'll be a good experience for him. So I'll keep you posted on this project as progress gets made. But now I'm going to jump to the outside and we'll get working on the FC. Guys, I decided to use this video as an introduction to the Willys CJ project that Tyler's going to be working on. And I decided to use the remainder of this video as just a update of where I am on the FC. I didn't film any of the body work that I did outside. I decided it was too boring. It was just, you know, adding body filler and a lot of sanding. So I decided to not film that and just give you an update on what I decided to do with the finish of the FC for this year. So I'm focusing a lot on the mechanics and getting the undercarriage and like rear end and all that finished off. I'm gonna paint the rear end, get that all cleaned up, and I decided to just go with a primer finish on the FC this year. I figured it's gonna be late in the season. I'd like to run this a little bit before I do a finish paint job to see if any of the welding I do comes apart, or anything needs to be done on the outside. So this is similar to what I did with my Scout. I ran it one summer with just a primer finish, and it worked out pretty good. It looks halfway decent. I left the rust spots. I think it looks still kind of cool, kind of similar to a patina type vehicle. So what I'm gonna do is just run it the way it is. It's all gonna be one color. The bodywork isn't perfect yet, but it has a good base to it. I get a good layer of body filler on it. I get a good sanding job done on it. So yeah, so Shane's gonna work with me tomorrow and actually start fixing up the wiring. I have taillights on order. I have these old antique style taillights that are pretty cool. They're 6 volt. So I'm gonna get those and get those ready to be put in. So Shane's gonna help me wire this up, and hopefully we can get the directionals working, the tail lights, you know, the interior light, that would be kind of cool. Hopefully the horn. I'll show that on part of the video too, if you know, to see how that works, if I can refinish that, or if it just won't work, I'll have to get a new one. But I figured I'd use just the last couple of minutes of this video to just give you an update on what I'm doing. I know some of you are probably cringing, saying, well, why are you going with that primer finish? But I figure, you know what, it's just one step in the right direction, and it's not gonna hurt for one summer to run it like this. And we're really not even decided on what color we want to do it. So this will give us some time to figure it out. And what I'd like to do, ultimately, what would work out perfect is if I can get all the vehicles ready for next summer. The CJ, the MG, we want to repaint the MG, and just set the garage up once for painting and paint all the vehicles at once. That would be ideal. Whether that'll work out, I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but I think we could get it done by next summer. But thanks for hanging out, guys. The next video will definitely be a working video. I know this was a lot of talking, and I apologize for that, but I just figured it would be a good descriptive video to just kind of see where we're at. Well, thanks for hanging out, guys, and I'll see you next week. Possibly midweek, I might have another video. I'm gonna try to do 2 videos a week for a little while, because the weather's getting good, and I'm trying to line up some spotlight videos to go over some of the fantastic projects that my family has done, meaning my brothers and other people that I know. But I'll hopefully get something lined up during the week, but I'll see you guys next week. Oh, one last thing. I just wanted to show you the nice job Tracy did on refinishing the bumper. Didn't that come out beautiful? Oh, it's awesome. Man, she's been such an asset to this project. All right, guys, I'll see you.